Hey, it's Heath. This is Bumper to Bumper Thoughts. This week I've kind of been thinking a lot about the whole "the South will rise again," statement, whatever you want to call that. And I got some thoughts about that. First off, the South was, is this dude gonna let me in? Alright, there you go. Oh, man. Let's start with, the rebel flag. Rebel flag is a symbol that can be taken a few different ways, and I kind of see it both ways. I'm not from the South, but then again, I'm not one of those hippie, freaking liberal douchebags that, you see with coexist bumper stickers on their cars. So I can see the heritage argument of it, because, people are proud of their ancestry. They're proud of, what their fathers and their forefathers did. And the Civil War is one of those things that's happened that I agree that you can be proud about, even though your side may have not fought for the right reasons. You can be proud that your ancestors participated in it. That's what they felt was important to them at the time. Also, history is something that we need to learn about so we don't repeat it. I also see the other side of it, the whole, the rebel flag is racist. Although I don't agree with it, I can see how they can portray it or see it that way. Because, I'm not even going to say the main reason, but one of the reasons that the Civil War fought was because of slavery. And I say one of the reasons because there was many, many reasons. It wasn't just about slavery. That's just kind of what it was pinned on, or I guess the biggest, the most overt reason that they could put it on. That people could get behind, or something like that. I really don't know, but there were other reasons why the Civil War was fought. One of those happened to be states' rights as opposed to federal rights. I guess, should the states be allowed to decide for themselves what they want to do as far as slavery, or does the federal government have the authority to come in and regulate that because of something else? Now, in this aspect, in the argument of the Civil War, I would have to agree with the federal government. However, these days, I am a huge advocate of state rights. I think that the federal government should mainly stay out of the states and let the states decide for themselves what they want to do, just so long as it goes on with the Constitution of the United States. So, as I'm thinking about that, I'm thinking about this whole, the South will rise again, and I don't believe that the whole South will rise again has anything to do with the actual southern states are going to rise up against, the northern states. It's not going to be a state-by-state battle. If it happens. I'm saying if it happens. If the federal government becomes so big and so oppressive that that the South will need to rise again, it's not going to be just the southern states. It's going to be people from every state, all aspects of life, those who feel that the government is oppressing them. Because that was, I think one of the biggest concerns of the southern states during the Civil War was that they felt the federal government was infringing on their state rights. And when the people of the United States feel that the federal government is infringing on their rights so much that they have to fight back, that is when you're going to see this whole South will rise again, but it's not going to be just the South. It's really a mindset. I think the South will rise again is really a mindset that we will go back to states' rights and state sovereignty, and it will probably take another civil war to do it. So when you hear people saying, oh, the South will rise again, I hope it doesn't have to happen, but I agree that it could. But it's not just going to be the South. It's going to be patriots all over the country. There was something I wanted to talk about. Something about the Civil War. Oh, yeah. So about the Civil War, I mentioned earlier it was fought, a lot of people think because of slavery, but, I think probably more because of federal infringement on states' rights. Basically, let me clarify my position on that a little bit. The Constitution provides for freedom from all men, or freedom for all men to pursue life, liberty, and happiness. And at that point in time, there was a disagreement between the northern and southern states as to who that applied to, I guess. They obviously had slaves, and we know now that slaves or not slaves, but we know now that black people are human beings, obviously. But back then, they were property. And so according to the South, that didn't, the constitutional rights of life, liberty, and property didn't apply to black individuals because they were property, they were not people. The North was starting to see these slaves as people, as they were, and they were trying to get the southern states to give their slaves pretty much freedom because of the fact that they were people and not property. You can't have a free nation with slaves. It's counterproductive. It isn't logically possible to come to a free country where this country, has slaves that are legally owned by plantation owners. So, the states wanted to, have slaves for themselves. And the federal government wanted the states to free these slaves because they felt that it did not abide by the Constitution of the United States as far as all men were created equal. So that is an example of the states' rights versus federal regulation or federal control that sparked off the Civil War. And there's probably more examples of that. But these days, I'm a huge advocate of state rights. I think the federal government should stay out of our states. Let our states be sovereign, basically. The only thing I believe the federal government should be allowed to do, so you have the legislative branch to make laws. These laws should be made according to the Constitution and in line with the Constitution. And I guess these days it would probably be more effective for these legislators to strike down laws that do not abide by the Constitution and are not in line with the values of the United States people. That's probably what they should be doing, because we've made so many laws these last years, and you got to be a rocket scientist in order to understand them. Even how they're written is ridiculous. They need to start striking these laws down one by one. I mean, you don't need like 12 different laws about the same thing. The other aspect of the federal government, the executive branch is supposed to execute the laws. They're not doing that, obviously. That's a whole other story, though. So they need to make sure that the states are abiding by the laws of the Constitution, and when they are not, that's when they should get involved with the states. And then you have the judicial branch of the federal government. The judicial branch should be to decide whether the laws the states pass abide by the Constitution of the United States. Because basically that's how this whole thing was set up from the beginning. We have a group of United States, or United, I don't want to say United Nations because I hate the United Nations, but basically we are individual countries that are combined into one country via a constitution. In order for the states to join the Constitution, to join the United States, they had to adopt the Constitution of the United States and write their own constitution that coincided with it. That was one of the requirements. So we are all required to abide by the Constitution of the United States. And there's a lot of states out there that aren't doing it, and the federal government is sweeping it under the rug. They're passing laws themselves that don't abide by the Constitution of the United States. So, it's quite possible that this overreaching federal government could reach a point where the people can't take it anymore. And then when we see all these guys in their big pickup trucks and rebel flags, driving down the road, we're going to know why. I'm not going to have a rebel flag on my truck. I don't necessarily agree with that. That's not a symbol of what I stand for. I'm going to have the red, white, and blue. I'm going to have the American flag on my truck because that is what I believe in, and that is what I will fight for. So, if push comes to shove, I'll be driving around, finding where the battle's at, waving the colors of the American flag, and hopefully it turns out well. I guess that's that.